Hey guys, it's Christine, also known as Ivy Winter. Thank you for joining me for another live stream. My first viewers, as you get in here, let me know if everything is sounding good with sound, no weird feedback or anything like that. It's been a while since I've done a live stream. I think since August. It's just been a busy couple of months. Hey Marianne, hey my Disney Park Memories, Samara, Bill, Karen, great to see you guys here. It is a rainy, miserable day out. I don't think you guys can hear the rain. I don't think. It is an utter downpour outside. It's gonna be going like this for another 8 hours. There's literally a stream of water going down my block. It's insane. So it feels like a really good day to just have a live stream. I've got my coffee, my goofy mug. I've got the book with me. Today we're talking about The Ride of a Lifetime by good old Bob Iger. So I know a lot of you guys have been reading the book. Some of you finished, some of you haven't. We're kind of talking about up to the halfway point, which is his part 2 around chapter 8. Where he has just become CEO of Disney. So don't feel bad if you haven't finished it. Don't feel bad if you're not even up to where we're up to. Fortunately, it's the kind of book where there's not a lot of spoilers because we kind of know what happens. But I'm really excited to dig into it so far. And I have some thoughts. So I do want to talk about some specific moments that happened in the book so far. Overall, right now, I find it really interesting just how it's written. It's interesting that he says in the beginning that it's not a memoir. It's more of a how to run a business, how to be a leader. But funnily enough, I feel like it feels more memoir than anything else. Sure, he is talking about his different, points of or style of leadership and all of that's built into it. But I mean, a lot of it really is about what happened. So it does feel a bit memoirish. And I'm really enjoying it. I didn't know at first if I was going to like it. I mean, it's definitely, I wouldn't say it's always the most exciting read, but it's very interesting. I feel like the way that he tackles certain things that have happened is really interesting. Karen says, oh, he became CEO, spoiler. Gasp, I know. So I'm going to kind of go chronologically. Some things that stood out to me, and I'd like to talk about it with you guys. So I'm going to start with the prologue because I feel like that was a really powerful way to start the book. So he talks about the Pulse shooting and the alligator attack in his prologue. And I don't think a lot of people thought that he was going to go there. I think a lot of people picked up this book and thought it's going to be I don't know, this kind of generic, it's Bob Iger, it's just going to be bleh. He's not really going to get into all of that kind of stuff. And the fact that he opens up with, him being in China, with, I believe it was Shanghai Disneyland, opening and then getting the news about the Pulse shooting, and then afterwards getting the news about the alligator attack, and him being completely open about it and what happened and how he was trying to deal with that while he was in a different country. I was actually really impressed that he just went right for it. I think it was his way of saying I'm not going to skirt around these events. Obviously everyone knows about them. It was during his time frame of being CEO, and I think if you didn't talk about them, it'd be almost weird, right? I think people would be why are you not bringing these huge newsworthy stories up? So both Karen D and Queenie say the opening was super powerful. Yeah, I totally agree. I think it really, that was what made me think okay, this is gonna be different than what I expected. And I appreciated him being really candid about how he was feeling and how he felt like he wasn't doing enough because he was somewhere else. And I can't imagine how difficult that must have been. I think also a lot of the times we see somebody like him or Eisner or even Chapek, I never said his name right, Chapek. And we think oh, they're just this robot of a human who's just running this company, but they are human beings. They have feelings. They have, emotions for certain experiences. So I think that was him kind of trying to show that. And I thought that was really great. And then the next thing that kind of like stood out to me was the whole Twin Peaks thing. So this was when he was working in the entertainment side of ABC, because he started in like the sports side of things, and he was the one, supposedly, or one of the ones who really pushed to have Twin Peaks on the air. And I never knew this. And I think that's super, super fascinating considering what a cult phenomenon that show became. But I also like that he was very honest about, like, it was such a success in the beginning, but it started to falter later on, and kind of the push and pull that he had with David Lynch of, like, you've got to actually resolve the case of the murder. Like, you can't just let this be some, like, weird open David Lynchy thing. But to his point, him saying, like, he was this brilliant director, but he wasn't, his mindset was never in the idea of creating a television show, you know? Like, it was really, really interesting. I admit that Twin Peaks has been a hard show for me to get into. I've tried, and I want to give it, after reading this, I want to give it another chance. The pilot is like 2 hours. It's like a movie. So I feel like I remember watching the pilot and I was like, oh my God, this is so long and so weird. And like, I wasn't understanding anything that was going on. And I kind of didn't really give it a chance, but now I feel like I really want to give it a chance. It is on Netflix, I think. Yeah, it's on Netflix. Queenie says Lynch is more of a movie guy. Yeah, and I think like he's very honest about that. Like he's not saying like, I'm not crapping on David Lynch for like ruining the show. I just know that his strengths were here and it wasn't exactly right for television. And I think him like realizing that is very important. I think like when you work with people in any sort of job, it's really important to know what their strengths and weaknesses are. And like, I think him recognizing that was really, really important. Karen D says, I can't get into Twin Peaks, but I think it's interesting that Iger was involved. Yeah, I had no idea. I mean, that was kind of like news to me. I had no idea that he was such a strong proponent for that show, because nobody wanted to put it on the air because it was so bizarre. And I feel like we're never really going to get a show like that again. I feel like it was sort of ahead of its time. Like, you could put something on the air now that's like super weird, but I think we're in a place where people want that. They like that. Whereas like then it was definitely really strange for the time. But I thought that was really interesting. Then moving into him talking about the dynamic between Michael Eisner and Michael Ovitz, which, who was it? One of you guys was saying on the Discord that he kept referring to people by their first name after, like, he would just bring up the last name like once or twice and then just keep referring to them by first name. And then I got really confused because I was like, wait, there's two Michaels, and which one are we talking about? Hi, Jack Blair. It's good to see you. Thank you for joining. Queenie504 says it was you. Yes, it was you who talked about the first names. Yeah, so I got really confused because I was like, now we're talking about two Michaels, two warring Michaels. I like that he was like really honest about it. Here's the thing. I do think he's holding back in this book, right? Like, I feel like there is a point of criticism that he gives, but he's not overstepping his bounds. He's still playing it a little safe, right? But it was really interesting for him to be like, well, this is what Eisner did right and wrong, and this is what Ovitz did right and wrong, and this is like how, looking at it from a third person's perspective, I think that they could have patched up the issues, but they didn't. But it was really interesting to hear his perspective as like this third person watching these two people who just were not getting along, who were not seeing eye to eye, who were like, him talking about the board meetings where like Ovitz would try to come up with these ideas and then Eisner would shut him down, and then he would go through like the other points of the day, and then Ovitz would like openly not pay attention and like make everyone feel uncomfortable. Like, that whole thing was like, ooh, I've seen those situations before in my office work experience, so I know what that's like. Karen D says, yes, it's so confusing. Michael and Dan and whoever. It was Dan and, oh my gosh, now I want to flip through the book. I know who you're talking about. It was the guys who bought ABC. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I can't think. Is it Tom? It might be. Yeah, I mean, he definitely starts to go on this like first name tangent, which can be a little bit confusing. And then the Pixar thing was really interesting. Now, this might be something that was super common knowledge. I didn't know it, that Toy Story 2 was supposed to be direct to DVD, and then they decided that they were going to actually put it in theaters. So I thought that was super interesting. Could you imagine? Could you imagine how things would have changed if Toy Story 2 was just like a direct to DVD sequel? Like, I don't think we would have gotten 3 and 4 at all. I think it probably would have died there, you know. So I think that's super, super interesting. But even just the whole, you know, back and forth with Michael Eisner and Steve Jobs, you know, a lot of people forget that Steve Jobs was really involved in Pixar back then. It was all kinds of crazy because, like, then they put Toy Story 2 in theaters, and then Pixar said, oh, that's one of the 5 film obligations that we have to you. And Iger was like, no, it's not. And there was just, like, all of this crazy back and forth. And again, seeing that from, like, it's almost like Robert Iger's like this fly on the wall in these like situations. But I also like that he was, again, it feels honest, if holding back a little bit in how he like talks about these situations. Jack Blair says, to be honest, Toy Story 2 is my favorite of the 4. You know, I've been meaning to rewatch them all. But 2 definitely is a very strong one. I think 1 is still my favorite of all of them, but 2 is really, really close. So I guess it was an amazing decision that they decided to put it into the theaters because I feel like it changed everything. Karen D said that would have totally killed the franchise and the cult of Pixar if they didn't put it in theaters. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy when you look at these like decisions of what could have been. You know, I think that's really, really interesting. Candy says, it's my least favorite, but I don't like Jessie. I like 1. Yeah, I think that's the thing. I'm not the biggest fan of Jessie either. But there's good music in it. I do really like the music in that one. Queenie504 says, I can't stand some of the mean-spiritedness of Toy Story. Explain. Like, what specifically? I assume we're not just talking about, like, Sid, who's, like, the bad guy. Do you just mean, like, between the different toys? I'd like to know what you're thinking there. But yeah, again, I feel like he touches on things, he tries to be kind of honest, but I think he's holding back, you know. But again, I think he has to. He's still the CEO of Disney when he's putting this book out. Like, you know, you can't be, like, trashing people here. Jeff Blair says, to me, it's one of the rare cases where the sequel is better than the OG. I mean, Toy Story is one of those rare cases where, like, all of the movies are really good. Like, I feel like, well, 4 for me was fine. It was good. It was good. Let me put it that way. I think 1, 2, and 3 are great. I think it is rare that you have a trilogy that all 3 movies are great. There's a couple I can think of. John Wick being one of them. One of my favorite trilogies now. But and Star Wars, the original Star Wars. But to see 3 animated movies like that come out and all be really great and do really well was really interesting because I mean, look at it. We've had sequels to like Lion King and Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin. They all ended up straight to DVD and were, you know, fine. Queenie504 says, I felt like Buzz definitely needed a reality check, but Woody was just mean and terrible and not nice, and I couldn't root for a hero who was so mean all the time. I can sort of agree with that, but I think there's a part of you that has to understand where Woody's coming from, right? Like, he feels really threatened, and being threatened, he's very defensive and mean. And I think a lot of people can be that way. I'm not trying to justify the way that he was. I'm just thinking, like, it makes him more of an interesting character instead of just being 100% good guy, that he goes through this, like, feeling of being threatened to becoming really good friends with Buzz in the end and realizing that they can both coexist and all of that great stuff. So you need some sort of conflict, and Sid was not really the conflict. It was the internal conflict of the characters. I thought that was really cool. I do understand where he's coming from, but he tries to basically almost murder Buzz. This is true. I don't know why I'm laughing because it is true, but I think I'm laughing because it's kind of messed up. Karen D said if he, as in Bob Iger, had to put it out after he retired, he would have had far more freedom. He was more honest about the ABC director who died. Yeah, so that happens a little before the halfway point. was it Rooney? When that was sad. That whole thing of him kind of losing his mind a little bit and dying was really sad. He definitely has these like moments that make you kind of feel for like what he went through. Ruin, you're right. Makes him, what he's going through. And then the last thing I wanted to mention that I thought was really interesting was the whole thing about Eisner being pushed out, the whole Save Disney thing with Roy Disney. I remember that, like, I was still pretty young at the time that was all going down. So I just remember feeling like both Eisner and Roy looked like really terrible people. Like, even as a kid, I understood that, like, they both, and it might have just been like how the press showed it, but I just remember them both seemingly being horrible to each other, And as a child, that's like all I really saw. It's interesting because I do think that for all of the criticism that Bob Iger has on Eisner here and there, he does seem biased towards Eisner in the end. Like, when you really read, he's like, I worked with him for 10 years, and, he kind of stands up for him and the changes that he made for Disney, and, like, look, I agree, I think Eisner did big things for Disney in the beginning, and he also messed stuff up. It's kind of the nature of being CEO. I don't know any company CEO who has like a perfect record. But I do feel like Bob Iger is definitely more biased towards Eisner over Roy. And we don't really get into more detail of why. We kind of get sort of an idea of like how he feels Roy acted and all of that. But again, a bit of a holding back, I feel like. What was also interesting is like he talks about some of the lines that Roy wrote in his letter to Eisner pushing him to resign. So I assume that Eisner's totally fine with the things that he wrote in this book, whether critical of him or not, because he probably had to get that letter from Eisner to write that part of the book, right? Like, he was literally pulling out specific lines. So my assumption then is that like Eisner was very aware of what Bob Iger was writing and was like, yeah, here you go. You can include this in here. But I thought it was really interesting. Thank Luz. She said, please don't forget to give the video a like. Definitely give this video a like. That definitely helps me out. Queenie504 says, this book made them both look like not great people. And Eisner was a terrible boss to Iger. I know. But what was interesting is like, he kept going, I had this like conflicting relationship with Eisner, and we went back and forth, and sometimes he loved me and sometimes he hated me, but like, again, playing it safe. Why? What happened? Give me more specifics. I want to know the tea. But obviously he can't really do that given the situation of, him still being CEO. But I thought it was really interesting. Queenie says, CEOs always chafe against their boards, although not always. I feel just because boards are there to keep them on track, even if they don't want to be at the moment. Yeah, I mean, sure. And I think it's difficult. I mean, I think Bob Iger was put in a really difficult position. They go through that whole thing of him having to interview with the board, how grueling it was, and how he felt that no one, felt he could do the job. But again, we're getting one man's opinion of the experience. We don't really know what a lot of the board members thought. Maybe there were people who thought he could do the job, and he just felt that way. He just felt that they didn't think he could, we're getting it from his perspective. So Karen D says, did he expect to have retired before this book was released? I don't know. That's actually a really good question. I don't know when he started writing this book. And we all know he was supposed to retire a few years ago, and then that didn't happen. But honestly, I'm kind of okay with it. I think that, like Eisner and like everyone before, Iger has gotten some flack for some decisions, but I do think that he has been a strong CEO for the company. And when I found out that he was staying on for a couple more years, I was fine with it, because I feel like it just made sense in the time that it was. But what I'm interested to see who's going to take his place. That's really the interesting. I hope it's not Chapek. I mean, I don't love the guy either. So be interesting if there's someone outside of the company. They might want to do that after hiring someone internal. They might decide that they really do want to get that change that they wanted, that they kept arguing for. Hire somebody outside. That'll be really interesting. Let's see. I'm wondering if he was contractually bound to this publication date. That's a really good question, and I wonder if that's something I can dig into. Because I don't know. I mean, obviously you don't write a book in like a couple of months, so it'll be interesting to see like when he actually started that. Anyway, so those are some things that I just wanted, like, I thought were really interesting up until this point, but I want to open it up. I know, Karen, you said you had something that really annoyed you about the book, so give it to me. I want to hear it. But anyone else who's been reading the book, no matter where you are in it, hit me. What was interesting to you? What stood out? What did you like? What did you not like? So far, it's been really interesting. I could say that much. Karen says, as a shareholder, I hope it's not Chapek. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think he has enough backlash against him by the general public that it might not happen. But then again, the general public does not really make a say in those business transactions, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. I hope it's none of the dudes from Fox who people were throwing around because I hate all of them. True, because now that they've acquired them, that is actually a good point. Could end up being Fox people, for sure. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Hopefully, I can only hope it's going to be a positive for the company. I mean, obviously, all of us as fans, we're going to hope that whoever's the next CEO is a positive for the company. But, yeah, I don't know. I would love to know where you guys are in the book right now. I know a couple of you have already finished it. I know Rob finished it. I don't know if he was able to make it to the live stream because I know he was at a wedding this weekend. When we talked when we were last recording the TTA, he was like, yeah, I just finished Bob's incredibly boring book. And I was like, it's not that boring. Like, his writing's a little dry, but I don't think what actually happens in it is boring. Okay, Karen says, okay, so I know Iger is not a Disney fan, but he made an offhand comment that really annoyed me. On his honeymoon, the company sent him a box of Disney merch, and he said he was still embarrassed by it. Oh, yeah, and then he talks about how, like, Eisner wore Mickey ties, and it was, like, almost mandated, and he pretended not to get the memo. But there's a part of me that, like, appreciated that honesty. Karen says the idea that housekeeping thought all the Mickey Mouse dressing gowns, etc. were his. Oh, I guess I didn't read it that way, but I see what you're saying. Yeah. I think it was an interesting honesty of him being like, I came into this company, or this company bought us, and I wasn't 100% on board at the time. And I think that's okay. I don't know. I mean, I'd rather him be honest about that whole thing. Queenie says, for me, I think the book actually worsened my opinion on Eisner. Before, I felt kind of bad for him because he clearly still had some good ideas, but man, he was just such a bad boss. I do think that he had a bit of an ego issue, especially when people were patting him on the back for things they did with animation, things they did with the parks, and then he was the guy who was, like, introducing the movies when they would play them on, like, Sundays or whatever. And, like, I think he had a bit of an ego of, like, who he was and his importance in the company. And I think that hurt him in the long run, for sure. Karen says it's honest, but he specifically said even now. Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting point. That you say, like, he's still embarrassed by it. That's an interesting point. I wish I could turn back time to the 1 minute that I met him and be like, Bob, why are you embarrassed by us? No, I wouldn't have said that. No, I was joking with my husband because I forgot that he's from New York. He's from Long Island. And I was like, damn, that would have been a great conversation to have because I'm from New York and Rob's from New York. And why didn't we think of that? Karen says that was what annoyed me. Like, he's happy to take adult Disney fans' money, but he thinks we should be embarrassed of ourselves. I didn't really take it that way, but I can totally understand why you took it that way. Like, that's a totally fair and valid, like, way of looking at it. I see it more as, like, he's running the company. He's still, like, a company man. He's still, like, running the company with that mindset. I don't think that he necessarily was one to buy into everything, and that's not always a bad thing. I mean, look at Eisner. He did buy into all the magic and stuff, but ended up not being that great. Maybe you need someone who's a little bit more level-headed. I don't know, but I didn't take it as, like, an insult to me. I wasn't reading that and being like, oh, I'm insulted. But I 100% understand where you're coming from, for sure. I totally get it, though. He's not a Disney fan. That's absolutely fine. Yeah. No, but I 100% get what you're saying. This is something that we're passionate about. So reading something like that, if somebody's running that company, can be off-putting, for sure. I'm excited to get through the rest of it. I mean, now that he's just become CEO, I feel like things were really going to pick up. But it was interesting to see where he came from and how he started, and, you know, even mentioning his divorce of his first wife. Like, he didn't shy away from certain things, which I liked. But like I said, I feel like he could have delved further. But I'm excited to finish it. And hopefully it'll be done I think the idea is to be done in the next, like, week and a half. I'd love for all of you guys to also finish it. For those who don't know, there's a Discord. I have the link in the description. We don't just talk about the book club. There's other things to talk about. It's just everyone who watches the channel kind of meeting up and talking about Disney stuff. But I definitely want to encourage, like, actual ongoing conversation in the book club chat there. And at the end of this, I would love for anyone who feels comfortable enough to do it, I would love your video reviews of the book. It could be a 2-minute video, a 5-minute video, a 10-minute video. I would just love you to upload something to YouTube. You can, if you just want me to see it, you can set it to private. If you're willing to make it public, I would love to make a playlist of everyone's reviews that I can put on my channel so people can check out the thoughts behind that. And then I'll also be doing my own review of it. But this has been super fun. It's been like really fun. I don't know, just kind of reading this along with all of you. And I think the next book that we choose, this one kind of came out because everyone was talking about it and it just came out, and I feel like a lot of people were looking to read it. The next one I will probably put to a vote between 2 different books, so that way, you know, we can all kind of collectively decide what the next book is going to be. They're not always going to be brand new, you know, releases. I might go back a little bit into some older stuff. And like I said, I always try to pick books that have like audio versions, because I understand that, you know, for some people that's the easier way to consume it. But now it's time to just open it up. Let's just talk Disney in general. We can talk more about the book. We can talk about the parks. I want to know, do any of you have trips coming up? What do you think about the Skyliner opening back up? Are you going to ride that thing? Are you afraid of it? I don't know. Rise of the Resistance is right around the corner. There's a lot to talk about in terms of Disney in general. So yeah. Karen says, it sounds like he had young kids from his second marriage. I wonder what a childhood like that must be like with Disney so closely linked to childhood. I thought of that too. Like, how crazy is that to like be the kid of the CEO of Disney? Is it awesome, or do you just get sick of it? Like, do his kids not care about Disney? I don't know. Like, they're adults now, right? I think he said like 18 and 21, or they were 18 and 21 at one point, so they're even older now. So maybe they don't care. And Vera says, definitely try Disney War after this. Yeah, which is actually brought up in the book. So during the time of Bob Iger interviewing to be CEO was when Disney War came out. And he made an interesting comment where he says they reported on, and sometimes wrongly, you know, Eisner and I's experience running the company. So I thought it was interesting that he felt like Disney War had some like wrong facts in it. And so he had to like deal with this interview where people were like referencing the book and like just spitfiring at him about things that were happening in the book. So to read Disney War actually after this would be really interesting, especially because he said that. Iger said that Disney War is super inaccurate. Yeah, that's so, but was it? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, again, everything is kind of based on your perception of things. So I don't know. And that's one of like Rob's favorite books. I haven't read Disney War, but he loved it. So I'd love to hear what he thinks about him criticizing that book. Magic in Michigan says, trip coming in January. Any tips on how to pack for late January weather? I have an old packing video that I can reference you to. It's like packing for winter Disney trip, and it was specifically for a January trip. So if you search that in my channel, you'll find it. It's kind of old now. It's probably like 2 or 3 years old, but I think it's still pretty helpful. layers. The upside of going in January is the crowds are usually more variable if you can do it around like not a cheer competition or something. The downside is the weather is so unpredictable that I find you have to pack more, as in you need to, be ready for 80-degree weather and sunshine and shorts and whatever, and then you need to be ready for rain and cold evenings, so like sweatshirts or a jacket. Like I always feel like I need to pack more during that time of year because the weather's super unpredictable. Ed Vera said, yeah, I was looking forward to the Skyliner, but my kids and wife are refusing. There's a part of me that has so much anxiety with getting stuck in transportation that a part of me is scared, but another part of me is like, oh, but it's new transportation and I want to try it. Like, I want to get on it. So we'll see what's going to happen. Ed Vera says, Disney War made Iger sound a bit dull and useless. Disney War is great, very exhausting though. The audio version is 25 hours. Woof! I don't know if that's a good book club book, but maybe optional extra reading after this book would be Disney War. I've got a couple in mind for the next book, but we'll get there when we get there. Queenie says, to be honest with how Eisner didn't seem to talk to Iger at all, it might make sense that Iger came off as kind of useless. It's hard to get things done when your boss doesn't know how to communicate. Yes, and I've been on the end of that. Communication is super key, so definitely. You have different perceptions of people if you're not actually communicating. Ed says, visiting for the holidays, the way Rob described the crowds last year, however, sounds frightening. Yeah, I'm a little nervous. So I haven't made like an official announcement video. I've talked about it here and there, but I am going to Disney in December, December 4th through 8th, for Rise of the Resistance weekend, which in itself is probably going to be terrifying. I don't know why I'm doing this. I mean, partly because I miss Rob, I miss Kat. I want to go down and see them. I want to see Michael K. I want to see, I think Jack from DSNY is down there again. Like, I want to hang out with everybody, so that's really why I'm going down. But for some reason, I thought Rise of the Resistance weekend was a good weekend to choose to do this. And then on top of that, Christmas crowds. I haven't been in December ever my entire life. I've been for Christmas time in November when I was like 10. But I haven't been in December. I haven't been this close to Christmas. I am doing a very Merry Christmas party, which I haven't done since I was 10. So it's been about 22 years. So I don't know what to expect, but I'm excited. But I'm also nervous. Like, it could be absolutely packed. I don't know. I don't know what to expect at all. And then, yeah, I don't know. Rise of the Resistance will probably actually hit the day after it opens. So it opens on a Thursday. I'm thinking I'm going Friday. And we might just have to get there super early. And then whatever the wait is, the wait is. But I really, really want to get on it. Let's see. Karen says, I'm not going on the Skyliner. My husband has epilepsy and heat is a trigger. And I don't need him having a seizure if we get stuck. I totally understand that. Would it be possible for you to go in a cooler time of year, or would you still just like not want to do that? Let's see. Queenie says it also seemed like the people in charge, we're going back to the book, of financial seems to say no to a lot of Iger's ideas. This is true. I feel like people were the finance people at Disney were like very rich back then. I am going to butcher your username, so I apologize ahead of time. But Teru Bozu, God, I probably ruined that, says, I'm about 3/4 of the way through Iger's book. I was amused that he critiqued Eisner for pointing out lamps he selected for a resort, but Iger's entire book is full of similar anecdotes about himself. Yeah, I mean, sometimes the people you get along with least or have issues with most are very much like yourself. Karen D says, are they doing extended extra magic hours for Rise of the Resistance? I don't know. And also, since I'm staying with Rob, I assume I will not be able to participate in that anyway, because I will not be staying on property. But as far as I've seen, no. It doesn't look like they've made any changes to the hours. Magic in Michigan says, I want to hang out with the same people. Yeah, I mean, they're all really good people, and I feel really lucky that I've been able to become such good friends with a lot of the other YouTubers. A lot of them are very genuine, awesome people, so I'm excited to see them. Ed Vera says, I mean, there's a lot of fun things that don't require going on the super crowded things. Still, I really would have preferred a less crowded time. Yeah, I mean, but I'm also excited to just go back. You know, I think there's a part of you that's just like, well, I still love it. So Magic in Michigan says, oh, the Christmas parties rock. I am excited. I don't know what to expect. So by all means, if people have Christmas party tips, hit me up with them. I looked up all the things you can do and the shows and the fireworks and this and that, and it seems so overwhelming. Like, it almost seems like there's more than the Halloween party. Maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like there's a lot. Queenie says, I'm afraid of heights, but for some reason Skyliners don't scare me. I think because it's enclosed. Yeah, I've been on plenty, you know, there's plenty of zoos out there that have them. Like the Bronx Zoo has it, San Diego Zoo, I've ridden those. I've ridden ones that people actually use to commute in Colombia. That was really cool. So they don't scare me either. Karen says, if we were there in a cooler time of year, we would probably ride. Our next trip is September, tied to school holidays. Yeah, it might still be really hot in September too. So many people think it's going to be colder, but nope. Looking forward to Space 220, hoping to see a menu soon. When is that opening? Is that supposed to be fall or is that next year? I feel like there's so many things opening. I'm going to look this up. There's so many things opening at Disney that I am forgetting when they're all opening. Let's see. It says winter of 2019. So come on, Disney, just open for my trip, please, because I still want to eat there. Oh my gosh, whenever that opens up, you'll have to make reservations like immediately. Queenie says, is fall 86 degrees cooler than spring 86 degrees? I don't know exactly how to explain this, but sometimes one feels warmer than the other. No, other way around. I think spring 86 is actually less humid than fall 86 degrees because the humidity is sort of building up in the spring, but it's not quite there yet in Florida. Whereas like in September, you're coming off the humidity of August and it's still there. It's still real, trust me. I remember going in September a few years back with Peter. He was miserable because it was so hot, like oppressively hot. So I actually think spring is a better, less humid time. Magic in Michigan says we've been to several Christmas parties. I'd say be sure to try some special treats, but I think that's obvious. Oh yeah, I mean all the Instagrammable treats. I've been laughing because Disney Parks has been like, here's our new Instagrammable snack, and it's like, oh my gosh, like if somebody works in social media, I roll my eyes because it's just like, are we being that literal right now? It's kind of ridiculous. Karen says, I'm from a country that literally never gets warmer than 70 degrees, so both are still too hot for us. I am a weird person. Like, I have a very specific temperature that I'm comfortable in. I run very cold. Like, even right now, it might be like 68, 69 degrees in my house, maybe 70. I'm cold. But if I'm outside and it's sunny and I can wear a light jacket, I'm good from like 65 to like 80, 85. Anything over 85 is like, I'm dying. Anything under 65, I'm like, it's so cold it hurts. So, yeah, I just accept it. Okay, maybe a silly question, but how did you come up with the name Ivy Winter? Is that a Disney thing? Sorry, I know it's probably in an older video. I mean, I've answered it a couple of times, but it isn't like something that like comes up that much. The short version is Ivy Winter was my gamer tag, like way back in the day. So back when the Xbox 360 came out, whatever year that was, and I needed a gamer tag because that was a new thing for me because I always had Nintendo before that. I literally, kid you not, went on like a name generator thing and was like, oh, Ivy Winter, that sounds cool. So I just used it as my 360 gamer tag, and then it became my everything. It became like my email, it became my usernames for like Reddit and for like it just became this like name that I just liked and I used. So when I created the channel, it was actually started off as a gaming channel, which is why I named it Ivy Winter. And then now it's just become like this weird synonymous name. What's really funny is some people come to me and they go, oh, did you know there was like a RuPaul's Drag Race? Ivy Winters was like one of the Drag Race competitors. And I always retort back like, well, I'm pretty sure I had, or at least, I don't know how long Ivy Winters has been around, But I know that I picked my name unrelated to that many, many years ago. Yeah, and so I kind of named the channel Ivy Winter because it was gaming, but I like it to use it now because I feel like if I ever want to change up content or do something different, and I've been like, I'm always going to do Disney, but there's a part of me that's like, oh, I'm really into interior decorating. Maybe I'd want to like do a small subset of my life over here. I feel like Ivy Winter is a name that encompasses everything. It's not like I'm like Christine's Disney something where it's like you come and that's all you expect. I think having a more generic YouTube name lets you expand your content is what I'm trying to say. That was a really long answer, but there you go. Let's see. My temp comfort is like 75 to 83, says Queenie. Yeah, I mean, it's a small window. I run really cold, and I live in the Northeast, and I've lived here my whole life. And you would think that would like maybe I would just adapt. No, never. I'm always cold. Magic in Michigan says it's right. I forgot you're a gamer. Thanks for sharing the name story. Hi, Jamie. I'm glad to see you here. Thank you for joining. Karen says, I'd be interested in interior design content. Okay, interesting. Like, yeah, I never want to go too far from what I'm doing. But I admit sometimes I just want to step into something new. So maybe they just live as separate playlists. We are going to be like designing a guest room and our bedroom and stuff. So maybe we'll see. Maybe you can expand in the future, add a gamer club to the book club. Oh gosh, I would probably need to quit my job to have time to do all that. I would I really still love gaming. And I still game like every day. I think it was just hard for me to like make a content because I would put on a game and then I'd feel like I'd have to almost perform. I'd have to be constantly talking to the camera. I don't know. It kind of took the enjoyment out of the game for me. So that's kind of why I stopped doing it. But yeah, I think about that sometimes. I think about like how to incorporate gaming again in some sort of way. Brian Craig, thank you for joining. Says, how do you and Rob know each other? Well, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, we met in our elementary school. Our parents, both our moms, were on the PTA, it's the Parent Teacher Association. So they knew each other, and I guess in one of those like events we met. I was in 5th grade. I want to say I was in 5th and he was in 4th. I was in 6th and I was in 5th and he was in 4th. So we have known each other for a really ridiculous long time, over 20 years. Yeah, that's pretty much it. He's the longest friendship I've ever had. Jamie says there's only been 5 days this year that I've not been to a Disney park. I am jelly, but also you work there, so it's kind of cheating. Cultured Brand says you could totally mix interior design and Disney content. I was thinking about that. That's actually something I've been thinking about, keeping it kind of on brand. There's some ideas that I have. I think what's hard is like I have really good ideas for the channel, and my day-to-day makes it really difficult. My work can be a lot, and I do work remotely, but it doesn't give me, people think when you work remotely you have a lot of time, but it's not true at all. And my nature of my job, sometimes I have to work weekends. Like it can be a lot, and so it's hard. Like I really have such great ideas, and it's been hard for me to be able to execute on them because of time. But I think I just need to build in that time, to be honest. Magic in Michigan says she's quitting her job, folks. You heard it here first. Oh God, no! I just started it. I just started this new job like 6 weeks ago. I can't quit it yet. Queenie says my Disney going friend is also from elementary school. Hi Keith. Oh my God, thank you for joining. Everybody, it's Keith, my favorite buddy in the whole world. Another friend that I've had for a long time, not as long as Rob, but Keith and I have known each other for, since 2008. So 11 years now. Though, fun fact, Keith and Rob actually went to high school together, but like we're not actually friends in high school. They like knew each other, but they didn't like hang out, and like now they're friends. It's really weird. It's really weird how the world works sometimes. Ed says, would be great if you were into gardening. Hello, Keith, fellow Californian. I am into gardening. My backyard is insane. I say that because the old people who owned it, the wife was a landscaper. So the yard is absolutely gorgeous. It's like an intense amount of work. We have gorgeous roses in the front. Like, I'm super into gardening, but I'm trying to find a way to like make it all kind of make sense cohesively, but we'll see. Oh, Keith, I miss you too. When was the last time I saw you? D23, right? Wait, are you going to be in New York for Christmas? I assume yes. So if yes, we need to do things. Especially since I have a couple of days I can take off, so I need to know when you're here so I can take them off when you're here. My husband has known the mother of my Disney buddy since the day she was born. My Disney buddy is my niece. Aw, that's cute. Fun Disney fan says, how often does Rob berate you to visit Orlando? He doesn't really. I don't know. I think he knows that like it's hard for me to like take time off. We talk about it all the time though. But you know, it was really funny. There was just like, he used to joke like, come and move down here, which I think I've said it's like never gonna happen. It's just, we bought a house. I'm happy here. I'm happy up here in the Northeast, guys. I know, weird. But there was this hilarious moment where he was with Michael K. and they sent me like a direct Instagram video in Epcot telling me to move there. It was ridiculous. And I was like, I hate you. I'm so jealous, but also no, I'm not moving down there. Grow some ivy. We do have ivy, Ed. Almost too much ivy. I'm actually thinking I might be ripping it out next year. It's just, ivy can be really nice when it's like done right. And it was done right, but it's still very invasive. So I think I'm ripping it all out. Let's see. Keith says, yes, but only from December 20th to 25th. I think I'll only be free on Monday after work. Well, pencil me in, Keith. We're going to go do something. You want to go eat a banchan? We always eat a banchan. That's the thing. Banchan is this Korean fried chicken place. We should go eat there. Let's see. Apologies. What is the name of Rob's channel? Rob Plays. Also used to be a video gaming channel way back in the day. That's why it's called Rob Plays. Rob Plays That Game. Was his full channel name. Keith Banchan. That's become our tradition that we eat at this place called Banchan. It's this chain. I have no idea. Is it in other states? I have no idea. It is so good. It's Korean fried chicken. You get, I mean, there's a lot of other things on the menu, but it's all about the fried chicken. And you can go spicy or like this like mild garlic glaze, or you can go half and half, which I find is the best way to do it. Ed says, yeah, he's got about 200 plus Disney history vlogs. Yeah, Rob's channel is absolutely amazing. It's been so awesome to like literally see him start the channel and then grow it to what it's been. Like, I've got to see this over such a long time period. And to now that he's doing it full time, like, it's really incredible to see everything that he's done. So, yeah. Let's see, never heard of Banchan. Definitely not here in Florida. I don't know. No, okay, maybe it's just like a New York thing. But yes, it's Korean fried chicken. Okay, there's Jersey. It's Korean fried chicken and wings. Yeah, so and in Cambodia and Thailand and Vietnam, which is kind of cool. I don't remember seeing any of that when I was there, but I'm sure it exists. Wait, New Mexico, Connecticut. I'm looking at all of these. It looks like it's mostly New York, New Jersey. There's like one in New Mexico and a couple in Connecticut. I think that's it. And Pennsylvania. There's some in Pennsylvania. Virginia, Maryland. Oh, come on, guys. Some of you must have somewhere had this, seen this. Oh my gosh. Washington, D.C. Okay, if you're in any of those states and you find a Banchan, go eat at one. They're really freaking good. Banchan is not sponsoring this live stream, but they should. Okay, going random. Ganachery or Amaretts? Amaretts. I love Amaretts. We're talking about the bakeries in Disney Springs. Amaretts is right near World of Disney, and it's so good. It's always consistently really Hey Rob Fuzz, it's good to see you. Good afternoon. It's been a while. Happy to see you here. Have you signed up for Disney Plus? I did at D23, so I got that 3-year pre-order deal. Basically, so like the D23 deal was like one of the best deals that you could get, and I couldn't really pass it up. It was like the first thing I did when I got on the show floor with Rob is like, all right, we're signing up for Disney Plus. So I'm on for a good 3 years, guys. That's a whole other section of content I'm looking forward to making. Disney Plus content. That's coming real soon. Let's see. The only time I've had Korean fried chicken was in Paris. There's an adorable and Instagrammable restaurant called Hero. I recommend it the next time you're in Paris. Interesting. I never heard of it. Didn't know they had that over there. We're in Paris and going soon. Oh, Paris is so great. Enjoy. I loved it. I fell in love with that city. Have you ever eaten at Le? I'm not going to try to say this. I can't speak French. So I'm just not, that's just me stepping away. But no, I did not eat at that restaurant there. 3 years for the price of 2. Woo. Yeah, I mean, come on, Disney Plus. And I got that cute little, like, pin. Whatever. I forget what you're called if you got, like, Disney Plus. It was like a founder's pin? It was founder's pin. That's what it was. Blinking. Yeah, I'm excited. I can't believe that's so soon. Guys, it's like 3 weeks from now, right? Yeah. No, not even. That is 2 weeks and 2 days until Disney Plus comes out. That's awesome. I signed up for 2 years when my family was sent 2 deals, one for pass holders and another for Disney Visa card holders. And then I also saw that there was like the Verizon deal, which I also have Verizon. They're giving people like a year free. Like, Rob was saying, like, can he stack that? Like, I want to stack that. Give me my 3 years and then give me my free year, Verizon. 16 days to Disney Plus. Yeah, it's soon. It's coming. Ewan McGregor just gave some new info about the Obi-Wan show filming next year. Going to be 6 episodes for early 2021, about 7 years after episode 3. Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, it's a bummer that a lot of the shows that I'm really excited for are not going to be till 2020, 2021, but I get it, right? Like, you can't launch everything immediately. You got to keep people hooked. But I'm very excited for The Mandalorian, like beyond excited for The Mandalorian. Wait, can I stack it? Wait, your 3-year subscription will be put on hold after Verizon's free year. How do I do this? Wait, Keith, how do I do this? You don't have to tell me now. Text me or something, because I want 4 years of Disney Plus. What's your biggest planning advice for Disneyland Paris? Thinking of going for a small stop during my 10-year anniversary trip in Europe and need to know everything. Well, small stop is how many days? That's my first question to you. My biggest planning advice is that it doesn't need as much planning as other parks. That is what I've learned. You really can kind of walk into it without too much of a plan. Just know that if you want to go on certain rides without fast passes, like, make sure you do rope drop for Walt Disney Studios for Crush's Coaster, because that line gets insane immediately. Same thing for like Big Thunder in over Disneyland Paris. If you can't get a fast pass, though I found fast passes are pretty easy to get. So one thing I did was like I rope dropped Big Thunder and then I got a fast pass and then came back an hour later and voted a second time. There are less attractions than other parks, so it just doesn't feel as overwhelming. I think definitely take a look at what's there and what you really want to do. Also, I find that they have a lot more refurbishments and closures throughout the year than most other parks do. Maybe that's just me. I felt like there was a lot of stuff closed when I went, so keep that in mind. Make sure you're aware of what refurbishment might be happening when you're going. 2 days maybe. I think 2 days is fine. If it's 2 full days, I think you're totally fine. Walt Disney Studios Park, I would say do Crush. I guess do Ratatouille. I didn't love it. Do Mickey and the Magician. I would say do Tower of Terror now because they just updated it. And then get out of there and go back to Disneyland Paris. I say spend most of your time in Disneyland Paris. Keith says, so I don't have Verizon, but I saw Verizon support tell someone on a screenshot that you'll be getting a promo code from them. And you just activate the code on your account and it will automatically put the 3 years on hold. Interesting. I will have to look into that. Marianne says, what are your priorities for your December trip other than Rise of the Resistance? It's not a very long trip, so I fly down the evening of the 4th. Actually, I'm working till about 2:30, and then I'm flying down. I'm getting dinner in Disney Springs with Kat and Rob that evening. I think we're going to go to Homecoming because I miss that place. And then I actually am working on Thursday the 5th. Because I started this job 6 weeks ago, I don't have a lot of time off through the end of the year. It's like a prorated thing. So I wanted to save some for the holidays. So I'm going to be working like either from Rob's place or in the parks. I know from Jack from DSNY, he's told me that working from Baseline Tap Room in Hollywood Studios is actually like pretty legit. And then I will be doing the Christmas party in the evening on Thursday. And then I will be off on Friday. So I have full park days Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then I fly home real late on Sunday, like a 10:30 p.m. flight. It's going to be an exhausting trip. There won't be a ton of park time, but it's kind of like me kind of getting a little bit of a trip in there. So I guess really it's all about Rise and the Christmas party. And then, I don't know, gotta get some Flight of Passage in there. I bought my tickets already so that I can do the 30-day out fast passes. So fingers crossed, we'll see what happens. Make sure to check out the Christmas tree trail. Where is that specifically? Like I said, I haven't been to a Christmas party in 22 years. I don't know. Like I consider myself an expert on a lot of Disney things. This is new territory for me. So give me all your tips, man. Give me all your Christmas party tips. Going to DLP for Christmas. My biggest planning advice is to join Christine's Discord. I've had amazing advice there. Thank you. Yeah, the link is in the description. Come join us. We talk about all sorts of Disney things. Disneyland Paris Fast Passes can be purchased for a bit of a steep price beforehand. That's about all that is different. Yeah, I heard that they weren't really worth it, so I didn't go for it. And honestly, the crowds were not crazy, at least when I was there. Let's see. I'm trying to catch up. Sorry, guys. Make sure you give yourself time to just wander and enjoy its beautiful park. I especially love their Adventureland. Here. Their Adventureland is amazing. Yeah, that park is so gorgeous. Oh my gosh. I definitely cried a little when I saw the castle. I think because it was also a new castle. You know, it was like seeing something new. I got emotional. Thank you for the Discord shout out, Rob. Working when it's from Disney, not too bad. Yeah, I mean, so again, I'm really, really lucky that I have the ability to work remote. I work remote 3 to 4 days a week. So in my brain, that opens me to possibly going to Orlando more, even if it means working during the day and then going to the parks at night, which is why I am very much leaning towards getting an annual pass. Like, I bought a 3-day park hopper and I can upgrade, so basically you just pay the difference. And I think I'm going to do that because I think even though working sucks when you're there and you'd want to like go and do things, just the opportunity to be able to, you know, finish work at 5 o'clock and then go to whatever park would be super cool. So I'm kind of trying to see if like that will allow me to go more. Pro tip, the key lime dessert at Boathouse is better than the one at Homecoming. I don't like key lime. I just don't. It's too, like, it's funny because I like citrusy stuff, but not in my desserts. Like, I don't like when desserts are really tart and citrusy. Christmas Tree Trail is at Disney Springs. Tim Trecker has a lot of vlogs about it. Cool. I will definitely check that out the evening that we are there. Near the Void. Got it. Cool. I've never even heard of this. So, you guys know, I'm a bigger Halloween person than I am a Christmas person. So, you know, I don't know a lot of these things. I am definitely the person who has already added a bunch of Halloween stuff to my Target shopping cart, and I'm waiting for November 1st so I can buy it all for next year. That's where I'm at. Some people do that for Christmas. That's me for Halloween. Does one need to speak French to go to Disneyland Paris? Absolutely not. I don't really speak a lick of it. Didn't really study it in school. I studied Spanish. The cast members are amazing. They know so many different languages. They're so good at being fluent and moving from one person to the other, different languages. Even when they're like calling for people to fill in rides, they might say it in French first and English second. The rides themselves often have a mix of French and English. You will totally understand what's going on. You do not need to know French to enjoy yourself at all. I didn't feel much of a language barrier at all. I didn't feel confused at any point. It was really good. I'm going to give it about 10 to 15 more minutes before I've got to run. This has been so fun. I don't want to go yet. They jacked up the AP $225. So glad I got it before that. Yeah, I know, but at the time I wasn't working, so I didn't have the ability to buy it before the price went up. But now I am working and I can make this work, so I'm going to get it. Will you ride the Skyliner when you visit? If it's open and rideable, yeah, I'm going to check it out. I'm a little nervous, but not that nervous. If you have time at Epcot, check out the storytelling at the countries. Oh yeah, I want to do that during the Festival of the Holidays. I hear that's amazing. It's like every country does their own storytelling of like Christmas tales and lore from their country. It sounds awesome. Have I been to Coral Reef? I have. I've never been, but I have it booked for the next trip. I've been like 3 or 4 times. I really like it. Someone actually requested that I do a review of it, so that's kind of in the works. I like fish, so I mean, if you like fish, you'll like Coral Reef, though that's not the only option. So if there are other people in your group that want chicken or beef or whatever, 100% they have that. It's not like you have to eat fish. If you do like fish, their mahi-mahi is really good. I definitely really like it. It's never too hard to get a reservation. I like the atmosphere. Service has always been great. I'm definitely a fan. Let's see. Haunted Mansion Tree was great. Norway is the best storytellers is really fun with the Barn Santa. I don't know what a Barn Santa is, but I guess I'm going to find out. Likes fish but doesn't like key lime. Okay, so here's the thing. I hated fish most of my life. I only started eating sushi in my late 20s. And I could kind of deal with that, even though you're thinking like, oh, but it's raw fish. But like, it was covered in stuff, like rice and whatever, and I dipped it in spicy mayo. It was fine. And then when I got my red meat allergy, I realized it's either chicken and turkey for the rest of my life, or I need to expand my palate and eat more fish. And so I've kind of learned to love it over time. But I didn't at first, but I kind of had to. Ed says Coral Reef is really good, but really loud. Yeah, because of the way that like things echo off the aquarium. It can be really loud. I've only really, I don't know if I've done dinner. I think I've only gone for lunch, and it's been quieter then. I also solo dined at Coral Reef, and I was right up next to the aquarium, which was cool, but also I felt like everyone was looking at me because I was eating there by myself. But yeah, it is really good. And I'm trying to think what else they have on their menu. I know they change up their menu so much, so sometimes I feel like I'm going to say something and it's like not even there anymore. But I do highly recommend it. I feel like people kind of forget about it because they go to all the restaurants in World Showcase. But I really like it. When is that expansion in France happening with like that restaurant? Probably not for a while, right? I'm really excited about all the changes coming to World Showcase. I think like, yeah, make the pavilions bigger. Let me wander around more. I'm all about that. Fun Disney fan says, how would you tell the story of an American Christmas in the way the storytellers do? I've never heard the storytellers, so I don't know. But I could come back to you after the trip and then give you something. I feel like I would tell it the way that like, Jack does in Nightmare Before Christmas. Like, he tells it in such just like, I don't know, this matter-of-fact way of like, you put things in a box with a bow, and then you have a sock that you sometimes put toys in. Like, I just love how, like, very literal his interpretation was. So I'd probably tell it that way. Gotta run. Thanks for making laundry and folding time tolerable. Thank you for joining, Ed. I super appreciate it. Karen says, I was surprised that Coral Reef has a decent vegetarian range. Yeah, I mean, they actually... They really do. I feel like their menu is really good for a lot of different people. Like I said, I feel like it's a bit of a hidden gem. Maybe we shouldn't be telling too many people about it. Do you think that I think the Ratatouille ride is going to be 1-for-1. I spoke with Jack from DSNY who told me that it is going to be 1-to-1. They're not making any changes. And if that is the case, it's an okay ride. I don't think, like, it's going to have long lines when it first opens because it's going to be new. And I'm telling you guys right now, I do not think it is going to be worth the 3-hour plus wait to ride it. It's interesting. The trackless, technology is cool. But hold off. Do not wait for hours to ride this ride. It's not worth that. Coral Reef is awful. Don't go there. Yeah, it's terrible. Makes me sick every time. Yeah, I feel like it's an unpopular opinion, but I didn't think Ratatouille was that great. Is it an unpopular opinion? Like, I guess I haven't really done my research on, like, how people are feeling about it, but I didn't love it. I thought it was kind of boring. I thought there was more that they could do with it. It's okay. Give me 5 reasons Christmas is better than Halloween. Go. It isn't. Halloween reigns supreme. There you go. I can't wait for Avengers Campus to open at DCA. Hey, Damien, it's good to see you. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about that. I mean, the whole thing, when they announced at the Parks panel, which I was there for, that, like, you were going to be able to fly to Wakanda on whatever that new ride is going to be, that's all I had to hear. I was ready for it. I'm excited. When that opens, I'm definitely planning a trip to come over there for sure. Karen says, but you get presents on Christmas. Presents are cool, but, like, I don't need stuff. I get presents on my birthday. Like, I can buy myself presents. I just like Halloween, guys. I like fall, too, so it's the culmination of all of that. Like, I was walking around in my neighborhood yesterday, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And it's the crisp air and apple picking and pumpkins and spooky movies, and I don't know. I love everything. October's my favorite month. Even though, like, a lot of people's favorite months are their birthday months, but my birthday is in November and it gets kind of cold. So, meh. But October is my favorite month. See you later, Rob. Thank you for joining. Halloween is nice, Queenie says. I'll take it. I love Christmas, but I'm very secular about which parts I like. It's weird. I mean, I don't really talk about religion, because, whatever, to each their own. But I was raised Catholic, but I have considered myself, I'm not a religious person. I don't really believe much of that. It's interesting because I was raised Catholic and did the whole Christmas thing in that sort of way, but then now celebrate it in a much more secular way. I don't know. I mean, both ways. It's a good holiday, you guys. It's good. I just feel like it sort of overtook everything. And I kind of like that Halloween is now, like, taking the reins back, I'm not religious at all, but I love Christmas. Yeah, I mean, I feel like Christmas has become so much more than its religious start. And even before it became a Catholic thing, it was a pagan thing. I mean, so was Halloween. So really, those are the people we should be thanking. I love Christmas for the warm sun and the warm air. Florida Christmas is great. See, I cannot have Christmas in warm weather. Like, I can't do it. To me, that's not Christmas. Like, I'm so used to, snow and a hot cup of cocoa and, like, bundling up. And, like, to me, if I was spending it somewhere warm, my mind would be blown. I just wouldn't know how to handle it. I know people from here who do that, though. I know people, like, every Christmas, they, like, run away to, like, an island. And they're like, I'm not doing the cold. But, like, I don't know, fireplace, like, all of that stuff feels Christmassy to me. Keith says, yeah, Christmas sucks in California. I bet a lot of Californians would disagree with you, though. It has to be at least a little bit chilly for Christmas. Yeah, I agree. Karen says, I would like Halloween in the U.S. Apparently Halloween in Colombia is nuts, my dad has told me. Like, they go all out over there. So I would like to one year experience Halloween in Colombia. Because that sounds great. I miss Fifth Avenue during the winter times. I agree, Keith. I don't like Fifth Avenue most days of the week because I think as someone who grows up like in New York, you just try to stay away from touristy areas. But I mean, Christmas time, you got the wreaths hanging, you've got the cool windows in all the stores, you've got the music playing, like, it's cool. It's cool during Christmas time. I'm not gonna lie. Even Disneyland isn't as magical as New York during Christmas wintertime. I miss the fresh blankets of snow on a park. Yeah, and you know what I love that we have here? We have these holiday markets that pop up in like Union Square Park, Bryant Park, and it's like these cute little booths and everyone's selling like their different stuff. A lot of it's like homemade, goods and whatever. And there's just, I'm getting like an apple cider and like walking around and like looking at all the shops and buying Christmas gifts. Like, I don't know, you just can't get that feeling, I think, anywhere else. So I totally agree. Even though I miss those, even though I never buy anything from them. The apple cider is where it's at those things. But I've gotten some gifts. Like, there's all different, there's like art there. There's people who like knit stuff. Like, it's great. In Australia, they do stereotypical barbecue on the beach, but they still have snowman decorations, and Santa wears a suit that would give him a huge stroke. Oh, it's so weird. Like, it's so funny when you like grow up in a certain sort of way and you like forget that people live in areas where it's warmer and it's different, and it's so weird to me. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna have to wrap up. We've got lots of fun things to do. Oh my gosh, the deluge of water is done apparently outside, so that's good. But it's been so much fun hanging out. So again, we're gonna finish up this book in like the next week and a half. If you are feeling up to it, please give me a video review of your book. Somewhere around like November, I'm pulling up my calendar. I don't know, November, around Disney Plus time. Let's say 11th, 12th. Give me those reviews and we'll get it on a playlist, and I'll have my full review at the end of this book. This has been really fun. And if you want to chat more, join the Discord. It's been great. People are so lovely and friendly. You guys are a great, great community. So I really appreciate how amazing you are to one another. You guys are awesome. Anyway, I will tell it to stop raining there too, Queenie. Stop raining over there. Bye, Keith. See you in 2-ish months. And thank you so much, guys, for joining. I always really, really appreciate it. You could be doing anything else with your day, but you're spending some time with me, and that's awesome. So thanks so much, guys. Have a good one.